Hello, welcome to Mostly Off Topic Dungeons and Dragons YouTube video live stream. Who knows? Who knows what it is? I'm here in my study with Josh,
Oh,
Ben,
Ole!
and Martin, who I suspect got caught with the sheep and was shorn or something. I don't know. What is happening with your hair, Martin?
It looks better in person. It definitely looks better in
No.
person.
Does it? Are you just saying that because nobody's? By the time we're going to be able to see you next, it'll have grown. Is that what you're saying? Oh yeah. So anyway, so we're playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Yeah, we are honest. And this is possibly going to be a regular feature, and we're looking to do this every couple of weeks, and we'll get the videos up shortly afterwards. And we're playing a role-playing campaign which grew out of the Tomb of Annihilation, where we took the game, finished the Tomb of Annihilation, defeated Azarak. He's still out there. Pro tip: watch your backs. And then we decided we're going to carry this forward. And the kind of group, I'm going to ask the guys to introduce themselves and just describe their characters and who they are playing in this. And we're kind of playing a more political game than is your typical Dungeons and Dragons game. There's an offline element to the game as well, using a forum and a wiki, just to kind of control a few things. And every fortnight we meet online and we just talk about kind of what is happening, and usually choose choice sessions from the game. So these guys are the champions of Chult. They are well renowned throughout the Forgotten Realms for saving the world from the death curse. And we'll start off with Diego Darkblade. So Ben, who plays Diego, if you could introduce yourself, cover a little bit of Diego, who he is, as well as kind of mechanically what class, etc. he is.
So Diego Darkblade, he is the swashbuckler's swashbuckler, a debonair, a romancer, noble of Waterdeep. And he is ready to make love to you.
Or with me.
personally.
Or these
In
guys.
addition, from the Tomb of Annihilation game, I joined not halfway through, but fairly towards the beginning. In that time, Diego has met love, and as a result of the campaign game, has since got married to arguably the love of his wife, a were-tiger.
His wife.
The love of his life. Lady Tefaneka.
Indeed, he does.
Where
Yeah.
tiger?
Oh wait, lady in quotation marks. It's not been finalised in Waterdeep yet, has it?
Has it not?
No,
I thought it had.
Still not got married. The Queen of Tethir is coming up there to.
Is coming to your wedding.
Right. Okay, so she's okay.
Well, she's a guest at the wedding anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so Martin, what's your favourite thing about Diego? What's Darian's favourite thing about Diego?
Oh,
The hat.
I think that he's a bit. I think that he's a bit cracked. Like the way in which he flirted with Tefanaka was not what anyone would call traditional. I don't think. The way they first met.
That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Yeah.
So the one of the first things he did was stab her with a dagger.
That is also
But then he stabbed her.
we did mark this as mature. And if Darian could change one thing about Diego, what would that be?
Oh God, that's a tough question.
I didn't prep any of these guys for these questions. By the way. I'm going to Scooby-Doo what's happening.
I know you should forward these questions to us before the session.
No, because I want to catch you on camera. I mean, come on. Preparation.
Probably just. Well, from Darian's point of view, I think he should take on the responsibilities of being a noble a bit more seriously.
Oh.
Well, this is. I feel like this is the point of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
we'll see how things go.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So Diego's also a member of the Lord's Alliance, an agent for the Lord's Alliance. That's important to bear in mind for the scene.
A not so secret agent.
Yeah, a completely not secret agent. Hi, I'm a member of the Lord's Alliance. Oh, should I not say that? Forget I said that. No charmability. No charmability. So, Martin, talk to us about your character.
So I play Darian Alexander Smith, who is a Tormish paladin.
It's the first time
human.
I've ever heard his middle name,
I
rather.
know that's
Yeah.
my middle name.
There's conspiracies going on now. Yeah, so he's basically just a well-built, dark-haired, strong, noble, and faithful follower of Torm. And
So, when you say noble,
he's like a walking tank as well.
and when you say noble, is that a member of the nobility, or is that noble in spirit?
In action.
In action,
Indeed, because
noble in
he's-
action, indeed.
Yeah, because he's Oath of Devotion.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. And what's his favourite colour?
Probably gold at this point, it has to be, right?
So Josh plays Ox, who so what's Ox's view of Darian? What does Ox like about Darian?
His justness, I suppose.
It's just there.
It's kind of his justness. Yeah,
The moral
Exactly.
compass of the group.
yeah. He's definitely the moral compass of the group, and on many occasions has been out. Oh, if only Darren was here, we'd know what to do.
We wouldn't be murdering these people right now.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, some of the group have. Some of the group have with Darian there, which is probably slightly immoral. But
swings and roundabouts. And if
Well,
there's
from what I've seen of Ox, he can be quite a showman.
Yeah, he's actually a good showman.
and what would Ox change about Darian?
Wait, what race is Ox? Have we said that?
No, we have not. Ox is a dragonborn.
So not just any dragonborn.
Well, calm
and the
yourself.
alpha
Calm
lizard.
yourself. Not get ahead of himself. So, what would Ox change about Darren if he got the opportunity to change one thing?
his armor class that was worse than mine.
Nothing like hindering the group just because of personal pride.
Yeah, just kick away his shield a couple of times. What would I change? I suppose character-wise, like he's played. I suppose you won't want him to be too much of a stick in the mud. He should let loose sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. He let his hair down.
Well, he just had a tiff with his girlfriend, so.
Or was about to have a tiff with the girlfriend. I think in this timeline, that's not quite tiff
All right, yeah.
yet.
He didn't stab her like Diego. Or did he?
You stab him and then you marry him.
Well, he
Step one, stab.
stabbed her.
Step
Stab,
two, if
marry.
still alive, marry.
That order.
Yeah. Okay.
It only works if they're aware, Tiger. Usually that results in death.
And only at certain levels, because otherwise you could be stabbing them with magical items. So Josh plays Ox, a dragonborn fighter. So talk to us about Ox, Josh.
Ox, or Nurixix Doxa in his full name, or Ox for short,
Or
is a
Alexander,
dragonborn
that's his middle
fighter.
name.
Yeah, Alexander. Nurixix Alexander Doxa. He's a dragonborn fighter he's a black dragonborn, so he breathes acid. And he's slightly obsessed with becoming the alpha lizard, which means he kills anything bigger than him that's a lizard, usually. He's currently the Marshal of Circusar, or he's to be the Marshal of Circusar soon. And he's a badass who likes to pull bear traps out of his bag.
Yeah, one of the standing points of the game is Ox writes in really, really small. Josh writes in really, really small, kind of like writing what's in his backpack. So I don't have a clue. And then he just pulls it out and says, "Yeah, we're just going to use this elephant. Actually, I've just been carrying around with me." And I go, "Really?" And he goes, "I've got a strength of 26." Oh my God. And I go, "Okay, so Diego, what does Diego admire about his marshal to be in the shape of Ox?"
Sorry, say that again.
What does Diego admire about Ox?
His showmanship.
The bear traps.
That's it. Yeah, a little bit of flair.
He knows how to whip out a bear trap with a flourish.
Yeah. Or destroy a warehouse or any number of things. And if
we need to destroy some environment there.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And what would Diego change? You know, in Marshall Ox's first 1-to-1, what is the shit in the shit sandwich?
That he hits really. He can hit me really, really hard.
Okay, feels like a bit weak. I have to say, I was looking for something a bit more racy, like
Ooh.
stop melting the furniture or something. Quite nice.
I love that Ox is a black dragonborn fighting for.
Yeah. So.
Given Diego's attire is pretty much all black, Diego likes the fact that Ox is all black.
If Ox takes off his scales, he's silver underneath, and pale green, and like pink.
Pale green.
He's got this pink Z across his face. Like
he's just incredibly burned.
His friends and family call him Oxy Stardust. It's a bit weird. And together so after these guys saved the known world, defeated the most powerful lich, and claimed fame and glory, you all dinged to level 11. And you're known as the champions of Chult. Other members of the party, one stayed as a merchant princess in Nyanzu. The other has got a specific task to do for the coronal of the mainland elves over in Myth Dranor. And the last is shagging anything that moves whilst being a badger. Basically. But Diego got offered a count position, a vacant count in the county of Circazar in the kingdom of Tethia, in the south of the realms, and essentially by becoming a count there, the Lord's Alliance want to extend their position, move down, try to claim a little bit there, get a foothold there, to try and push against Kalimsham and Arm, who are big trading competitors for the Alliance. So that's kind of the start of it. And the Darkblade, who we've kind of created as being one of the primary nobles in the city of Waterdeep, are in on this as well, because it kind of gives them more prestige and so on and so forth. So the guys are currently based in Waterdeep.
Old money.
Yeah, but will be transitioning to the county of Circazar. Ox is also a member of the Lord's Alliance, has claimed his position as the Alpha Lizard. Not just the Alpha Lizard, but the eternal Alpha Lizard. So Bahamut, the platinum dragon, the god of all good dragons, the father of all good dragons, kind of came along and so proud of what Ox had achieved and the manner in which he did this. He appointed him to be his champion through all the multiverse. And he charged Ox with protecting the weakest of dragon kind, which as we've chosen to interpret as the Dragonborn. Who knows whether that's right or not? Maybe it's kobolds. And Ox is going to found a starting position, I guess, possibly for a nation of the Dragonborn is kind of how a lot of the stories tell it now. And conveniently, Diego's got a bit of land spare, the back paddock. And he's going to allow Ox to settle in the county of Circazar.
The shed.
The stable.
And in return, Ox and the largely mercenary Dragonborn, mercenary in the way in which they're mercenaries fighting, will become his militia, and he'll become the marshal of Circazar. Nothing like creating a private army to threaten the queen, which you're about to meet. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's not get entangled with this. Darian, who is a member of the Order of the Gauntlet, has been given a position as Castellan of the Ilkazar Castle, which it sits in this really weird position in that it's an Order of Gauntlet base, but it also has some responsibilities to the Count, and it protects the kind of like border of this part of the county of Circazar, but also spreads across nations. The Order of the Gauntlet don't recognise national boundaries so much, so the kind of jurisdiction spreads into the Protectorate of Mintar, which was a state founded by Baneites. Hi Torm, hi Bane, best buddies. The leader of this area, the Order of the Gauntlet, Vindicator, he is a heretic against the Church of Torm. Now, there's a difference between the Church of Torm and the Order of the Gauntlet, so whilst he may be a heretic against the Tormites, he goes around saying Torm stinks a lot, apparently. Don't know what that's about. And the Order of the Gauntlet, he's alright, it's okay-ish. But anyway, Darren has been tasked with heading down there and sorting shit out, if you don't mind. And he's also been appointed, or possibly appointed, depending upon the Queen, agreeing this, the Queen of Tethia, as the Hawk of Alamander, who has kind of the Queen's representative throughout the kingdom and has kind of like supernumerary legal rights and so on and so forth. So we have the Count of my hand's there because that's where Ben's picture is on my screen. We have the Count. He has appointed his companion in arms Ox as the Marshal, and together they intend to work with the Hawk of Alamander, Darian. Last session. Oh, there is in fact Ox.
There is Ox.
Smaller than I remember him being, but okay.
Yeah.
Praise.
Not quite 7 foot 4.
Yeah, no. There's a lot to summarise, and kind of we'll put some stuff up on the web that'll summarise this, but essentially they're in Waterdeep at the moment. Diego is marrying Tefanaka, who he found in the jungle of Chul, kind of like basically, when kittens kind of like are found in the streets and somebody gives them a saucer of milk and they come home and the rest of the family are like, okay, you can keep it, but just don't let it shit on the bed. That's basically what Tefanaka is to the Darkblade. Okay, you found her, but she is a fucking weird tiger, and could you maybe not let her shit on the bed, if you don't mind? So far, she's not shit on the bed. She's shit on Diego, but he asked for it specifically after the wedding, the first wedding back in Chulm. And the guys are building forces and they're doing a bit of this and doing a bit of that. So most recently, a Milady de Winter, who is a bit of a mystery. She managed to get one of the crown jewels of Tethia, got it into Diego's possession, got Diego to take to Waterdeep, declared that wouldn't it be fantastic if the Queen wore all the crown jewels at the wedding of Diego, got the ambassador of Tethia to proclaim that that's exactly what was going to happen, and is now hoping that it can't happen because Diego's got one of the crown jewels, and therefore the Duke of Velen, who is the protector of the crown. This sounds really fucking long, doesn't it? But hold on a minute, guys. The protector of the Duke of the crown jewels will lose face in the court. The pirates of the Nalantha Isles that he's managing to keep under cover will become much more strong, and then more trade will go through the land route rather than the sea route, driving revenues for the county of Circazar that Diego is going to take over. So you would think it would be in the party's interests for that to all happen, and for the Duke to become disgraced, and for more caravans to go through Circazar, and therefore Diego in their money. But no! Apparently they've got a law-abiding paladin in their ranks, who when people say, did you blow up this fucking inn? He goes, yeah. So no, they're gonna...
That's not me.
They're gonna come clean, apparently. Who knows what's gonna happen. But in this session, basically they're gonna meet the Queen of Tethia, who is gonna be Diego's liege lord. There's a duke in between, strictly speaking, who's going to be Darian's kind of like main kind of sponsor, I guess, and who's going to be influential in Ox's ability to found the Dragonborn in her kingdom. The Queen is in a weak position. Her nobles are much more strong and powerful than she is. So we're going to see how this plays out in this session. Jesus Christ, you couldn't do a potted history of our campaign. It'd be a nightmare.
She gets assassinated this session.
The Queen.
By you?
Sex.
Is that an admission?
I think it was.
This is where Darian falls.
I'll finally get that achievement.
One of the things that we do is achievements. So there was an achievement where the rest of the group would get 100 achievement points if Darian fell. Darian got 1 point for not falling in the campaign. I don't know. It's an asymmetrical game. What can you say? So last session, you decide that you're going to tell Her Majesty about the pearl, the crown jewels. You convince the ambassador of Tethia to pay for you guys to be teleported to Daramar, the capital of Tethia, where you would gain audience with the Queen. And then you were going to accompany her on her journey north to the wedding of Diego to Tefnaka, where she was going to travel by sea to Daggerford and then a small hamlet south of Waterdeep. And that's where we're at. Okay. Gathered at the Darkblade Villa, kind of the night before you're due to kind of travel there, enjoying a glass of red with Danilo Darkblade, little Scapello. He's kind of like sat semi-shrouded in kind of like darkness, candles kind of like off behind him, a light.
Darian thinks Danilo takes things too seriously as a noble.
Shines from the side of his face.
I've just realised we're the only 3 members of the original party who could never see in the dark. Everyone else could.
I joined you guys with dark vision goggles.
I can make my sword glow.
That doesn't make you see in the dark.
It makes me
That makes
see in
everyone
the
else see
dark
you.
for like 60 feet.
Okay.
That's probably better, actually. So he kind of says,
Anyway.
so, gentlemen, what's the plan when you get to Tethia?
Oh, Tethir.
We make our introductions.
I
Yes,
actually want
go-
to. Oh, yeah, I actually want to get feathering out agents to try and gather information from all the relevant factions there, as well as interesting nobles, particularly Commander Breakbones, or the guy formerly known as Commander Breakbones.
Okay.
Apparently we're admitting everything to the Queen. Isn't so sure about?
When you say everything, could we just have a list of everything? And
Yeah.
then I
That's
saw
the point where you're all talking, Oxa slowly walks backwards away.
through a wall into
Yeah.
the streets of Waterdeep. Do you have a plan? Danilo says. Not
Are
that
we-
surprised that you don't. How did you stop Iraq? Is clearly what's on his mind.
We'll wing it.
Well, you see, Uncle, I died.
I'm beginning to think that you should have stayed dead.
Diego's held together by magic sticky blasters, isn't he?
Well, aside from that, I've got my own mission. I've got to deal with this Vindicator, as well as we're going to uplift the races that are of human descent because they're less well represented in Sorkazar. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tethira as a nation is very humanocentric. It doesn't particularly encourage anything that's not human, really. But sorry, my question is more orientated about the meeting with the Queen and then kind of the journey back, because you're going there to come back to escort Her Majesty back for the wedding.
So how much time have we got before we are due to set off?
Couple of days.
Couple of days, okay.
So is there anything you particularly want to do? Anything you particularly want to find out? Danilo says the Darkblade spy network, such as it is heavily committed at the moment to an endeavour.
What endeavor?
an endeavour that will remain private within the Darkblades.
Mm.
While
Have
we're
you guys
gone,
been-
Uncle, I presume you will make all preparations for the games.
The preparation of the games are underway, of course, yes. Do you know the nature of the Queen to which you are undoubtedly going to gain audience?
Mm.
Or the customs of the court?
Again.
Well, we've got. Oh yeah, you weren't there. Well, for the Queen's arrival, we're actually hosting a games to show off. Well, it's not supposed to be for this, but it's to show off the Dragonborn's press in combat.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, in case you think of any funny business, you can say, "Look how good they are." Don't
Yeah.
them.
Just in case she's worried about this army you're building, show her how good they are.
See that castle there? It might look freakily like yours, but that's just a coincidence.
Yeah. And watch these dragons tear it down.
Damon says, so Queen Anaias, she's in the mid-40s, but she is renowned for her simple beauty. And simplicity is a hallmark of her reign. She has this notion that the nobility is there to serve the commoners. And you can see his incredulity when he kind of says that. It's kind of like, okay, the sky is also now the ground. Which puts her at odds with the grandees, as they are known within Tethia, the senior nobles, the dukes, and some of the counts. She has very little revenue. She has very little power beyond which she can exercise her own personal militia. But she is known to be honest, and she is known to be committed to the endeavour that Queen Zara Star formed 100 and more years ago. Be aware that she lost all her heirs. All of her nieces and nephews were killed about 10 years ago. She still grieves for them. It is a tragedy for the kingdom of Tethia. A tragedy. You would do well to wear muted colours and to follow a more simple style in Tethia than you would perhaps observe within Waterdeep.
So be less flamboyant.
That would be my
Diego.
Impossible.
recommendation.
I think some people might struggle.
Is Teth going with you?
On the journey to... She's more than welcome to, but I don't think so.
Yeah, she. If you offer her, she'll decline. I have more interesting pursuits in Waterdeep.
Is Undrel coming?
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We've fallen out.
Not yet. They're going to fall
Right.
out.
Yeah.
In the future.
Okay. And does anyone do anything before?
Yeah. So I guess. Oh. I was just going to say. I guess we're just going to request an audience with the Queen, because we've got some very important information to share with her when we do get there. And do you guys have potions of cure poison yet? Because I can cure poison on myself, but you guys can't.
I do not.
Are you expecting us to be poisoned?
Is that a thing they can acquire? Well, probably. Someone's going to try and something underhanded at some point in the future. This is an intrigue game.
The Darkblade will give you potions to cure poison. Antitoxins, antidotes.
Yeah.
Some form of such things.
Yeah.
I
It
thought I had one.
comes in the shape of Darian. There you go. Go to it.
So we've all got a potion of cure poison.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And you can
Is it
get hold of
possible poison?
any mundane equipment that you want to get hold of, and pretty much most common magical items for that. For that matter. As an aside, I had a chimney sweep come round today, and I was gutted that he didn't have a fake Cockney accent. I was like, "Oh, you're going up the apples and pears?" And I was like, "What the fuck are you on about, son?" I should have probably not kept calling him Dick, but anyway. So, okay, anything else before we move to the next scene?
Are we taking anyone else with us, or is it literally just us three?
Some of your Dragonborn?
Yeah, some of your Dragonborn, and my guards would be following me about, then not. So if they're going to be coming.
Yeah, by yeah.
Marchionne Colleen, who stood behind you at this moment in time, nods and says, "Yeah, we're coming." You don't go very far without him, or one of the guards. You guys are now pretty much used to them. They're like part of the furniture.
It's always
a less honest paladin would genuinely use them as part of the furniture. Right? Okay, if you're that committed, you sit down, and I'm just going to sit on you. Use you as a chair. So what forces are you taking with you, Ox?
We don't take too many, do we? Are we getting teleported?
Yeah, you get
at some point. Yeah,
There'll be a teleportation circle though, like a permanent one.
Yeah.
How big is the circle?
I mean, you can keep walking into it.
Okay.
More like
we
two
should
abreast, I think.
half the Dragonborn at least are committed.
Oh, half are committed, yeah. Half are doing
Currently
stuff.
committed.
Yeah.
Doing stuff. And
That's an open thread, by the way. That's not surprising. Right? They're going hunting dragon treasure.
Yeah. I assume you guys are ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you just take a
handful of the best ones, the crack squad.
The crack squad. The A team.
Yeah.
The alpha team.
One of them stood there with a cigar. One of them refuses to teleport. He's the big black dragonborn. I think they're probably pushing it right there. So
just give him his milk and it'll be fine.
The crazy one feeds him like half a cow, and he falls asleep eating cow.
He's actually a black dragonborn that has loads of gold scales here. He's got loads of bling.
Huge gold scales. He's wearing the skin of the half dragon from Chort.
Yeah. I'll take a small squadron.
A small squadron.
Not a flight crew, but a small group.
Okay.
Enough homies to back me up if I say something sick, but not too much that it looks like I'm going in for a fight.
So 5?
Just enough for whenever you drop the mic.
Somewhere between 5 and 10, I think sounds good.
7.5. Okay. Diego, how are you going to kind of demonstrate the honor and grandeur of House Darkblade? Diego just said, "Oh, I'm fucking there, aren't I?" Bullshit
These
question,
two, remember? I'm bringing a paladin and I'm bringing a dragon.
Exactly. That's.
We're actually his gifts. He's going to give us away.
And
We're like, the hell, Diego?
I'll present these 2 droids as offerings to the mighty Jedi. C-3PO definitely is Martin, and R2-D2 in Dragonborn form.
Do I know about any sort of costume greetings into Thea?
Don't sleep with the queen.
Danilo kind of schools you. Thea has a particular language that sits on top of common and is kind of used by the Kingdom of Thea, but the nobility tend to use it a little bit more. So it's
It
like
doesn't sound like Welsh, does it?
yes, it does. I've got to say, it's no, it doesn't. It's more like Spanish, Portuguese, Iberian. So he kind of gives you a few lessons that you pick it up really, really quickly. If you want to learn that language, then you can kind of like think about that through the story. That's cool. You'll pick it up really quickly. It's a fairly formal language, and it's kind of got roots from Alzado, which is the elemental plane of air, which
That's interesting.
could be due to its proximity to Kalimshan and the elemental kingdom genies, etc. There.
Interesting. Okay, so official formal greetings, but she does need a gift.
Yeah. I'm typing these two droids.
Apart from her crown jewel.
Which technically
Present that in
she
a box with a ribbon.
Actually.
Yeah, it's not
That's like nicking somebody's car.
Oh,
Saying, "No,
it's like my brother and Christmas all over again.
Oh, really? Really? Did you just recycle presents? These socks were born in 1984, but
No, I think he'd got me the original Grand Theft Auto on PlayStation or something for my birthday. But like a couple of days before, it was like, here, check out this game, and I had to watch him play it. And then he gave it to me as a birthday present.
So I think the first one on PlayStation was Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah.
That killed it.
So, in terms of gifts, are there any suggestions that Danilo may think that the Queen would quite like, other than her own pearl back?
Well, she's a middle-aged lady who's not had a suitor for a while, so make up your own mind.
I will send all available Darkblade spies gift shopping.
Oh, okay.
gift shop.
I was thinking.
A fruit basket.
No, yeah, I was just going to say that. Because she comes from a cold climate, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's really
Tethia.
water
She
deep.
comes from a warm climate.
Oh, sorry, a
Tethia
warm
is
climate. Never
roasted
mind.
toasty. Tethia is like 40 degrees in the shade.
Do we have any fruits that are fruits
Pineapple's
that are
supposed to
exclusive to
symbolise
to Waterdeep?
Yeah, pineapple symbolise stuff.
But they used to symbolise like wealth and thing. They used to not eat them. They used to like in Tudor things. Used to a pineapple would be there for until literally it rotted, and then they get a new one. But they'd be worth like the equivalent of hundreds of pounds these days. Anyway,
I do like the idea of a fruit basket, but I'm not just thinking
Well, I think you're taking 2 fruit baskets with you.
fruits that you tend to find in Waterdeep. I'm thinking, since we got back from Jolt, and we've set up trade routes there.
Or you've got a merchant princess.
Like
right
any-
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we make it a mix mash of both Waterdavian fruits and Cholton?
Chalties?
Yeah, Cholton delicacies.
Is it Chilton or Chaltese?
Chilton, I would say. You could
I have an
yeah.
assortment of teeth I've pulled from monsters. Mecha necklace.
And,
Well,
and the bear
well,
trap.
to be fair,
The
right?
bear trap that caught
Like,
Captain Beef
what would you
Hands.
expect it to be?
Yeah.
Okay. Danilo looks at you slightly despairingly. And says, I anticipated this was what was going to happen. So in addition to the Chaltese fruit, I have commissioned this silver chalice. Siamorph is one of the deities that are close to the Tethiran royalty's heart. Siamorph is the goddess of courtly love and nobility, noblesse oblige, and stuff like that. And the Order of the Silver Chalice is kind of like the Praetorian Guard of the Tetherian nobility. Made by
Diego's thinking, shall we fill it with fruit?
What happens if she's a lycanthrope though, or a doppelganger, and a silver chalice would be hugely offensive?
Possibly. So Dano says this is a consideration, Ox. I'm glad that your marshal's mind is thinking of all possibilities. But let us not paralyse ourselves with ifs, buts and maybes. And let's take a path that we, think may benefit us on the balance as opposed to the risk and the small. If we take the risk, he says, I can give you a toy, like I do with my son when he does brave things. So
Diego, you can just blame your uncle if it all goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, because it's going to be the silver chalice and not the fruit that's going to offend her. Okay, cool.
What if we take the silver chalice filled with fruit?
Yeah, wrap it up in like polystyrene, and that'll keep the fruit
Yeah.
in it. So you're gonna get some delicacies of your kind of nation, and also the kind of the place where you made your names as adventurers and such like.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. Danilo says, I will sort the fruit. You take the chalice. Anything else? Okay,
No.
so you make your way to the ambassadorial court of Tethir in Waterdeep, which is kind of a repurposed,
I hate this guy.
a repurposed inn. Martin is there. Oh, that is the most beautiful silver chalice I have ever seen. Such a fine gift. The Queen will have seen nothing of it. Oh, and Chulte's fruits, you say? I'm sure she'll be overjoyed by the
Actually, it's Chilton.
the abundant. Oh, I'm sorry, White Hawk, Cursebreaker, if I got it wrong. Oh, actually, it's Chilton. But yes. Anyway, you kind of led through to the teleportation circle. I'm really sorry, but I won't be able to accompany you. You'll go through the circle and you'll come out in one of the function rooms of the Fen 10 castle. And Chancellor Apraxin will meet you. You recall Chancellor Fyodor Apraxin is the Chancellor of Circazar, royally appointed at the moment, and there's talk of keeping him in that position. And he will take you to court. Enjoy yourselves, he says. I'll be here in Waterdeep. You can be down south. You walk through the teleportation circle. It's slightly disorientating as kind of the universe just readjusts its knowledge of where you are in relation to everything else. And it takes you a couple of moments at the other side to kind of just catch your breath, and your eyes have to adjust to the gloom. You kind of stand there, and as you see, there's an old man with a big, thick, kind of biblical beard. He's kind of stooped over, and he's got a handkerchief. Oh, and he like holds his back. He's dressed in reasonable kind of like dark robes. He's got kind of like a necklace of office kind of like around his neck. He stops, he kind of like looks up and then keeps looking up and keeps looking up and keeps looking up. Oh, you must be the one they call Ox. And then you
I'll stay away from him because you don't want Ox to start sneezing.
Yeah. Then you hear,
Acid everywhere.
you hear the
Don't worry,
clank,
guys.
clank,
I'm immune to
clank.
disease. I'll take this one.
You hear the clank, clank, clank of Darian, heavily armoured,
Runs in through.
coming through,
No.
and kind of lights up the room slightly with the reflection of his Tormite kind of breast shield, and then kind of Diego kind of steps behind. The man looks, Lord Darkblade. I'm. I just can't clear this cold. I've had it for weeks. I'm Chancellor Praxin. He kind of like bows low. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, I tell you, the burns aren't what they used to be.
I'll lean in and say, Chancellor, it's a pleasure to meet you, and go for a handshake.
Oh, he kind of takes your hand in quite a limp handshake. His
I'm
hands are all
gonna lay
sweaty.
on hands his cold away.
Lay on hands is cold away. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're treating it as a disease?
His sneezing, yeah. I'll spend 5 hit points to help him clear that nasty cold.
Is it a disease?
Virus.
Yeah.
So do you
Is
have?
it only bacterial or viral?
Yeah.
Yeah, lay on hands cures the diseases.
And is the common cold a disease? Is it a disease? Can we have a call on this? Yeah.
It's an infection.
You do that and describe to us the lay on hands.
So it just seems like an honest, casual handshake. But as the hands connect, there's a slight golden glow in between the palms, and the Chancellor, I would hopefully feel a lot better.
Oh, that felt quite warm and tingly. Oh, I haven't felt this warm and tingly since the night Lady of Praxton died. Oh, but I shouldn't have said that out loud. I feel a lot better. Is that your paladinic touch?
Yeah, I have that effect on people.
I had heard the reports of yourself and Undril, who's just come through the portal, as I remember she's coming with, and your work with the poor of Waterdeep. It may be that such endeavours could be founded in Saradouche as well. There's an awful amount of poor there, an awful amount of poor. We try what we can to help them, but there's only so many resources that we can channel that way. The orphanage in particular would benefit massively from your help.
I do plan to reach out to the more downtrodden in Surkazar when I do get there, in between my other obligations.
Is there anything you could do for my back? He kind of like comes over and said, I've tried all kinds of ointments. It's right at the base, right there. You see, right. Just if you could. Ooh, you've got strong hands. Could you maybe just? Oh, that feels good. Oh yes.
I look at Darren and like curve fist and we're like, should I zit him right there? Would that work?
I'm not quite sure about physiology. More mortal wounds and diseases are my speciality. I'll give him another 5 hit points and see if that does anything. But that's about all I can do.
I'm slightly disappointed in the powers of Torm. Oh well, I guess
He's hooked now. It's a drug.
I guess we'll try what we can, but Anyway, I apologise. I'm Chancellor Fyodor Apraxin. I'm the Chancellor of Saradouche and the Queen's representative in Surkazar, whilst the title of Count is currently vacant. Lord Darkblade,
Chancellor,
Lord Nerexius, Lord Cursebreaker. Your work in Chult precedes you. Your fame is renowned. We are going to be throwing a feast in your honour in a couple of days' time. But before then, please, the court is open to you. I can accompany you, but I'm not as mobile as I used to be, I have to say. Particularly not since Tom's not been able to cure that. Ow! Ooh! Ooh! Ouch! Ow! Ow! Oh, on my fingers. Have I talked about the pain in my hand? Could you do anything for this, please, Darian? Could you?
I think I've done all I am able.
Oh,
Undril? I turn to Undril.
She turns to you.
She'll be presumably more proficient in medicine than I am.
I'll try to say what I can do. Come with me, Chancellor. You start to follow the Chancellor. He walks at like half a snail's pace. It's like, painful. Do you know when you're caught behind people in the shopping centre, and you're like, Jesus Christ, any time this week, just please. And he's like got complaints about everything. It's all.
Should we just both take an arm and carry him?
Yeah. It's hard. life for Chancellor Apraxin is hard, and I'd much rather be at Saradu. And it's just so hot, and actually it's sweltering. Like, you can feel as you kind of come out of the room, the air is stale in the castle, and it's dark, and it's kind of like weary. The kind of carpeting stops intermittently, and kind of like there's very little in the way of ornamentation. All of the servants that you see, and there are not very many servants. You kind of, as you kind of as shown through a number of the rooms. In the Darkblade estate, there would be a servant on the door, there'd be a footman, there'd be an usher, or what have you. There's none of that there, and they're all dressed in very, very simple, very, very basic kind of colours. Oh, ever since the incident, the Queen just anything bright and shiny puts her off. It puts her into a difficult mood. So we keep everything very simple, you know, and we do not want to be seen to be frivolous when the populace are so challenged at these times. And Ox Caledarian in particular, this is a defensive castle, and like say a noble villa in Waterdeep, which is there to demonstrate affluence more than anything else. This is designed to withstand a siege. As you kind of go through, you get the big, thick 10-15 foot inner walls. As you kind of like shown out into the courtyard, this is a military establishment, kind of masquerading as a royal palace. This is not a welcoming seat of government for a first-tier nation.
Well, we'd be more impressed with this than Sir Diego would, because we see it from a different point of view. Maybe Diego is like, it's not beautiful and decorated. We're like, this is pretty. We're like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, we're much more martial, and we're like, do you know what? Big swanky castle.
Yeah.
And
But whereas Diego's like, I miss my big paintings. I miss the carpet.
there are very few.
Where's the
paintings.
colour?
And most of the servants that you see are military in bearing, and everybody apart from Chancellor Praxin is going at 100 miles an hour. Everybody's got a lot to do. There's lots of kind of stuff. When people kind of like a couple of people are coming down the corridor and they see, and this temperature just doesn't do anything for my back, and I just can't sleep because of it. They kind of like stop. They kind of like, oh, jeez. And they turn around and they do the long way around because they'll get there 20 minutes before waiting for him. So how was the journey?
Fast.
Oh, the world
It
moves.
was quick, senor.
Sometimes I like long, slow journeys because it gives you time to think. You know, everybody wants to move so fast nowadays. Back in my day, we had teleportation circles and we used them all the time. Oh well, never mind. And the Queen has just finished court. It's a shame I was gabbing with you all. Oh, we missed her. Oh, she'll be holding court later on today in any case. But I'll show you to your quarters. An hour passes and you exit the room. It takes you longer than is necessary to kind of get to your quarters. These are the good visitors' quarters. They're not the good visitors' quarters. You know, these are, if this is the good visitors' quarters, you don't want to know what the bad visitors' quarters were. You thought the kind of the Thundering Lizard was a little bit, but the Thundering Lizard looks like the Ritz in comparison to this. You've got a military grade bed.
Oh wow!
You've got a military grade window, no glass. Fortunately, it's sweltering and not much in the way of anything other than a piss pot. It's 2 between 3 though. So one of the rooms does have a piss pot, and you have to knock if you want to do anything.
Out the window.
Diego, your piss pot is like got a crack in it.
Is there a moat?
You think if you piss hard, you might break it. And
Well, I was thinking
frankly,
using my.
a weighty number
using
2
my-
is probably out of the question.
I was thinking boots of spider climbing, just stand on the wall,
Yeah.
and off it goes.
So the Chancellor.
Just take one of Darian's guard's shoes.
The
You
Chancellor
have a bag of holding in your shoe.
Ah!
The Chancellor says, well,
Into that.
if you want to freshen up after the journey, and then I'll see you this afternoon. The court will start at the third strike. And yes, I'll be down there by then probably. Oh, it's a shame you couldn't do anything with your Tormite powers for my back. But well, even the gods have limitations. But maybe a bit of massaging right there. That's where it feels knotty to me. What do you think, Darian?
I think you should probably talk to the local doctor of the castle.
Her doctor.
Probably a military doctor.
Okay. Does anybody want to kind of do anything before you go to attend court?
Darren, are you going in armour?
Yeah, that's my ceremonial garb. But I do. But
Darian travelled light.
I do need to.
All he's got is his armour and his sword.
To be fair, right, this armor actually shields me from like the elements very minorly. So I'm quite good temperatured right now.
Yeah. Building Kagul.
So I actually do want to try and contact the Queen. Now I imagine this is going to be very difficult, and we're probably not going to be told the room. I assume, is that something we're going to be told?
Oh, where the court's held?
No, the Queen when she's not in court.
Queen's room.
Oh, you won't know where the quarters are particularly. I mean, you can ask around, but an audience with the Queen isn't something that you just grab. You'd have to have it scheduled and go through the appropriate channels and whatnot.
But that's fine. We should be able to do that.
Put a stamp of urgency on it, Lord Darkblade.
Very shortly after kind of the Chancellor's dropped you off, valets appear. They're carrying kind of refreshments for you, cured meats, kind of fruits, not Trulton, kind of bread, watered down wine. Damien spits it out. Diego spits it out.
Diego, make a con save to not spit it out.
Just dribbles it back in.
Have you seen
rolling for that?
Have you seen the Emperor's New Groove where he's like side of his face and the side of his body?
This is a great wine. Oh, we've got some more. The valet that attends to you, Diego, kind of probably late 20s, looks fairly articulate, fairly aware. He kind of has a watered avian kind of symbol as well as the Tetherian one, and his accent is very clearly watered avian.
The gentleman's personal gentleman.
Yes, he bows to you in the watered avian style. Lord Darkblade, I am Jerak. I am to be your attendant whilst you are here. I am from Waterdeep also. I served with the Open Lords staff whilst I was in Waterdeep, and I'm well trained in terms of the etiquette of the court and the protocol. Her Majesty knows of your presence here, knows that you seek audience, and she'll be able to grant you audience after the court has formally greeted you at the feast in a couple of days' time. A private audience is scheduled for you and your companions at that point. Is there anything that you wish to put on the agenda for that meeting?
Seems everything is falling into place, but Grack, can you do something about this chamber pot? It's got a crack in it.
I love her. That's your first point of call.
My Lord Darkblade, that is the Queen's chamber pot, so known because it is the chamber pot that was used by Zeranda, Queen Zeranda Star herself when she was giving birth to the triplets that formed the backbone of the dynasty. It is only given to them as esteemed of guests. The fact that it's 100 years old is a slight downside. To reject that that piss pot would be to reject the Tetherian dynasty, my lord.
Can I make an insight check against him?
Yeah, go for it.
I put an arm on Diego's shoulder and I say, "It's like you, my friend, a little bit cracked."
Take a point of inspiration, Darian. Take a point of inspiration.
That's a 13.
The 13. Let me
Is he
see.
bullshitting?
Let me. Oh, hold on. My dice are in my bag, so I'll get my other dice out. Hold on a minute. One of my dice bags. We are playing a low-tech game where the players literally just continue to roll.
First
their
roll of the
dice.
night.
Yeah, first roll, wasn't it?
Yeah. But if you saw the first session of us fighting the, you'd know we were telling the truth, considering how badly it went.
Yeah, you just do.
Yeah.
Oh, he's bullshitting you, big style. This is clearly some kind of like servant's joke to test the mettle of the guests.
Oh.
He's smirking. He's like, yeah, it's the Queen's one from blah 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 blah. Your Majesty, your Lord, whatever. He didn't do the wanker sign. In Tethia, he says, "This means I love you lots. You're the man. You're the man."
Yeah.
He failed that insight check too.
I so Grack, get it fixed or replace it.
If you wish, my lord.
Or you're replaced, son.
Does Darian say that? Of course.
He's thinking it really hard, though.
Yeah.
So that, or you'll say, Grack, do your job.
He takes the piss pot really carefully. He says, in fact, no. What he does is he goes and gets a cushion. He brings it back. He places the chamber pot on the cushion. I will carry this with the reverence it deserves. About 20 minutes or so later,
This balance going to be such a thorn in my side.
he comes back. He comes back with another one on a cushion. He says, "My lord, I acted with all haste, as befits you. I could see that the journey had been long and troublesome, and that you wouldn't have had opportunity to have emptied your bowels. Unfortunately, in my haste, I could only find one that had already been used." And he hands you it with a curled turd, kind of like dangling up.
This is in the new one.
This is in the new one.
Fuck's sake, he's taking a shit in it, hasn't he?
Can I make an insight on this guy to make sure he's eating? Like he...
You should cast Detect Evil.
Has this guy been sent by the Waterdeep? No, the Circus representative for Waterdeep. Yeah. Has this guy been sent by him or?
The Tetherian ambassador.
Yeah.
So what are you doing exactly? Sorry, what's this insight check to establish? He's pissing
I just want
himself.
to insight if this guy is actually.
You're convinced he's a brilliant assassin.
I'm convinced he's someone who I'm convinced he's the jester, the court jester more than anything at this point. So let's insight that. I've got a plus nothing, I think. Yeah. So no, I don't know anything.
You feel it, yeah? No, it is what it is. He leans forward to you, Diego, and he says, "This shit took an awful amount of effort to acquire. Your uncle sent it specially." And he winks badly, and then kind of like backs away.
Don't understand this guy.
Do I ask
So
him to
I'm
take
half
it back to
tempted.
my uncle?
I think he's trying to suggest that he may be part of the Darkblade itinerary here.
Yeah.
Also, he's just taking the piss out of you. But anyway.
Yeah.
I think Diego's starting to lose his patience with this man.
I'll cast detect magic if he's not looking, but if he's going to keep looking, I'm not.
Always paying attention to all of you.
Okay, I'm not casting it then.
I can see from your face, my lord, that you are offended by a common turd being placed in your chamber pot. I shall go and see if I can find a
royal turd.
noble of higher standing that is looking as if he's going to squeeze one out, and he backs away.
Can I intimidate him?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just shout, "Bring our lord a clean chamber pot." It's a 14.
He realizes he may have taken it a bit too far, and he kind of, of course, he kind of like shakes himself, almost spills it. In fact, let's give him a dex save.
Yeah.
He catches it, and he wanders back. A new chamber pot is brought by another servant, who kind of like very efficiently kind of like places it down.
I'll just do that to him.
You mean like that?
Yeah.
You
Thank you, Ox.
a bit of time passes. You get opportunity to kind of like refresh yourselves. There's a gong that resounds through the castle. Boom, and then the second one, boom, boom, and then there's the third stroke. It's kind of like now starting to become kind of like you think late afternoon. The edge of the temperature's kind of like been taken off. It's starting to cool down a little bit. It's probably like 4 o'clock-ish, there or thereabouts. And kind of the three valets, including the one who was messing you around, kind of like knock on your doors. My lords, you are to attend court.
You, Diego.
Yeah,
Gentlemen, it is time. Let us go.
So,
We'll walk in high order.
Diego's lead.
how are you guys dressing?
I'll polish up my armor
Oh,
as much as it will.
You mean make it shiny and upset the queen?
Oh yeah, fine.
Because I was actually going to use that decorative tabard I wore for the party to cover up the
I've got
the glow of my armor.
I've got my Bahamut robe still from the party as well.
You do.
I'll do that
Yes.
I'll do that as like a tabard so the arms are out. It's like that.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm using the decorative tabard to cover up the light on my plate.
Okay. Cool.
Diego's. Well, considering she doesn't like colours, that's great because Diego only ever wears black.
I wear black on the outside. As black.
So-
I don't imagine
it's-
Diego would have the tact to tone it down. He'd just go in full.
Diego's entrance is via the chandelier.
Okay, I take the 2 gold feathers out of my hat and probably just call it that. That's about like I'm still wearing.
Bronze ones in instead.
Your sartorial advisor is suggesting that you change the gold ones for bronze ones.
Just to tone it down a touch.
Yeah, okay. Darian and Ox, you get advantage on any social roles that you make with the Queen in this next scene, if you're required to make them.
Okay.
And you're led through the castle, the fortification, and it remains functional and kind of like. As you're kind of going there, the servant stops at 2 or 3 other doors and kind of calls forward some dignitaries as well. There's the sheriff of Zesesper. There's the harbour master of Zesesper. And it occurs to you, kind of like Diego, that if you were running this place, you would have a valet for each dignitary, not a valet for 5, and particularly not for separate groups. So it kind of feels a little bit strange, but maybe this is how they do things in Tethia. And you're shown into court, a royal court with several thousand years of history behind it, and you feel the weight of that history kind of coming from the tapestries, quite old tapestries that have lost their luster perhaps, but they make up for that just in the sense of the weight of the history. The court's not especially well lit. Most of the kind of light that's kind of spills in kind of falls upon the raised dais, which is kind of 4 foot up above the rest of the kind of the courtroom, and the throne of Tithia, or one of the thrones of Tithia, kind of sits there. It's a oaken, pretty large kind of throne, worn. The kind of arms are worn to a sheen, and it's kind of embroidered with kind of like the red. The queen sits there with a very functional kind of crown atop her, and she's wearing very functional but reasonably well-fitting kind of like clothings, dark olives, dark blues, some black kind of like trim. The crown doesn't have any great ornamentation, but it kind of like looks as if it's kind of made of gold. And she has tight kind of like clothes around her wrists and her arms. Everybody kind of like make perception checks.
Dorian's speciality. Oh wow!
That's pretty good. 21.
Perception.
Oh well, I didn't beat 21, but I got a good roll.
That is using my reliable talent. That is a 10.
Wow, I got 18.
Oh, sorry, 15.
Okay, so the 18 and 21, as you kind of like go in, your eyes are immediately drawn to the queen, and she's clearly the person kind of in charge, really. She has, and you notice this because it stands out as her hands are on the kind of on the arms of the chair. She has ink-stained hands, so she's clearly been doing her own correspondence. Chancellor Praxin kind of stands a step below and to the right of her, and there's another kind of aged figure that kind of stands kind of a little bit below him, and then at the bottom of the steps there is a late 30s, mid 30s, a kind of like lady with blonde hair that's kind of like tied back into a bun, and she wears kind of leather garb, not really leather armor. It's much more flexible than kind of that, but there's a sword strapped to her side, and she kind of like isn't really paying attention to the queen or anything. She's scanning the crowd. She kind of clocks you, kind of watches you kind of as you walk through. At the moment, there's a petitioner who's kind of like knelt in front of the queen and is talking about some kind of boundary dispute that has been brought to the queen's kind of matter. If anyone paying attention, the gist of it is that the Temple of Lathander has claimed some of his fields as his, but he had it as a charter from his dad's dad had it as a charter, and it's his land, and whilst he was leaving it to lie fallow, he fully intended to make use of it, so on and so forth. There's a small cluster of 3 what looks to be clerics of Lathander. They're certainly wearing robes of orange and gold in a style. The general style is about 70 years behind Waterdeep, at least. The clothing, the feel, the fashions. This feels, if you were kind of like, imagine that you were kind of like going back to a Victorian kind of like court now, it'd be recognisable. You'd understand, what was happening. You'd be like, right, you're the judge of this, but everything would just look old-fashioned and slightly fuddy-duddy. That's basically the impression that you guys are kind of getting there. It's not tired, it's not kind of like poor quality, it's not threadbare or anything like that. It's just of a much older style and much more archaic kind of like style.
Are people wearing wigs?
No. That you can tell. You can make a perception check if you want to see who's wearing a wig. Are you wearing a wig, actually? Is that what happened?
You walked into that.
If you lifted your headset, does your hair come with? Not obviously. There's about 20 people clustered. Some of them are small, talking in small groups. Some are kind of obviously kind of like queuing. When you were in Nuanzu, and you were at the Merchant Prince's court, you would see 200 to 300. Whenever you've been to the Palace of Waterdeep, the number there is possibly just short of 1,000 at court. So this is small, and there's nobody here who stands out as a strong personality or a chief personality, particularly excepting the Queen. And yeah, okay. So this land dispute goes on for a while. It's boring and tedious, but the Queen is paying grave attention to it and is asking a lot of kind of sensible questions. The Lathanderites kind of make their case. Their case is essentially that there's been a royal decree that land that's not put to use needs to be put to use. The populace need to be fed. Kind of crops need to be put for export and so on, and given that the farmer wasn't able to raise the labour to be able to use it, they kind of did what was required to kind of get it going. Isn't it better, Your Majesty, that the land is worked than the land lies fallow? We are able to provide the resources to get a return from it. He isn't. Therefore, we would propose that for the benefit of the kingdom, that it is worked by us. The Duke found in our favour at his court. We would expect you to to uphold the Duke's findings. That's the thrust of their position. The Queen
Is this anywhere near Diego's lands?
You don't really know. Okay. It's named, but you don't know the geography that kind of well. It can't be within the county of Circazar because they talked about a duke, and currently, actually, it talks about a count and then a duke's court, so it can't be because there's no count in Circazar. Chancellor Praxin kind of the Queen kind of says, "What do you say, Chancellor?" And Chancellor Praxin says, "Well, we've got to take into account," he lists out 27 legal precedents that could impact upon this. Everybody else is like, whatever, eyes glazed, but the Queen kind of pays attention, and he's doing all this from memory. He's kind of like, and then this was decided and that, and this was decided and that. So actually, it would be true to say that if he is able to demonstrate this point to satisfaction, so the Queen says, okay, well, it feels like the weight of tradition is with the farmer. And then the Lathanderite chief kind of negotiates as well. That is if his charter is true and honest. It is not yet proven that this is a genuine item. And the farmer's like, what the fuck? Completely sideswiped by this. It's like, of course it is. And you can see his face of indignant rage that this accusation has even been levelled at him. And the Queen kind of raises her hand and he kind of stops. It's quite a serious charge to levy against any of my citizens. That they would lie to me. That would be treason. Are you sure that you wish to go down this course? Kind of the whole place now is just quiet, and you can feel the steely resolve coming from the Queen as she kind of holds this kind of cleric to kind of account. He kind of confers with his companions, and kind of he looks nervous. He says, "Well, Your Majesty, we do not necessarily assert that, but there is some gossip, some speculation amongst the village that this is the case, and the lineage is not quite as proven as perhaps." And the Queen says, "So you are bringing gossip as your defence to my court?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, I wouldn't say it's gossip so much, Your Majesty." And she says, "I hear that you are desperate to raise these crops, and I can understand that you wish to place the resources such that the crops and the land is worked, and that is the betterment of the kingdom and to our people. And the more mouths we can feed and the more surplus we have, the greater that we would be enriched. And I agree, therefore, that if you're able to provide these resources, then that is a good work. But it should be to the betterment of the person who owns the land as well. Therefore, my judgment in this case is such that from the profits and the proceeds of the sale, the farmer will pay you less than 9 in 10 market rate for your people's labour. If you can spare them to grow, then you can spare them at that rate. And the church should be in a position to offer mercy to those less fortunate than it. So it will be his land, and mark that in the records as being his land. It can be worked by your people, and he will pay you a fair price for it. You may be able to appeal this within 10 days. Kind of everybody, yes, of course, Your Majesty, of course, Your Majesty. And they kind of like move off. Another set of supplicants kind of like move forward. And the Chancellor kind of leans in to the Queen. Please, we will just take a break in the scheduled business of the day. She rises, and everybody kind of like rises and stands. I wish to greet visitors to our court and have them formally announced. Chancellor? Yes. Ooh, my back. Oh, bloody hell. I tell you, this announcing lark is not all it's cracked up to be. And I pronounce, for the glory of the court of Tithia, the legacy of the Imperium of Shun, Lord Darkblade, heir apparent to the County Palatinate of Circazar, his marshal, that's not been publicly announced yet. What's Ox's proper name?
Nuxius Doxa.
That.
Have we lost to Diego? He seems to have frozen.
Diego? This is Tithia calling Diego. The Chancellor says, can somebody wake up Lord Darkblade? And
Your voice keeps cracking up as well.
Oh, right, okay.
Don't know if it's-
And
We've lost to Diego.
yeah, we have.
We have lost the Diego.
Okay, we'll just.
I was wondering if it was the Twitch stream doing something, because I've switched off like all my devices here,
We're not streaming.
there's still little bits of hiccups. Are you getting hiccups in the audio as well, Josh?
I'm getting quite a lot of hiccups on calls.
Yeah,
Kind of drops in and out of it.
same. And I'm hearing you clearly.
Yeah, I can hear fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're not streaming. We are recording, but it's not using the CPU particularly.
Probably Diego's fault.
Just noticed that my D4 is cracked. This is just a night of cracks.
Yeah, how is your default? What, is it plastic or metal?
I don't know.
How is it?
I can't see that.
Oh yeah.
It's
At
got
the
like
bottom.
yeah. So in between the 2 and the 4, like I think that line going through the 2 and 4 is supposed to be there, but there's a line in between the 2 and the 4 that's clearly a crack. Look, because it's all jagged.
Oh, sorry guys, it went at the most inopportune time.
What was
I
the last thing that you
thought
heard?
you've been very still.
What was the last thing that you
Did you
heard?
hear about the?
No, it cut out before then. Just after the Queen stopped speaking about the land.
Okay. So she studies. We'll take a break from the established schedule for today's business to introduce to the court some newcomers. And the Chancellor Praxin kind of like stands, oh, my back, insert all back stuff. I would like to welcome to the court of Tithia, to the legacy of the Imperium of Shun, Lord Diego Darkblade, heir apparent to the county of Circazar, County Palatinate of Circazar, his marshal, Neurixius, who is to found a sanctuary for the Dragonborn, the chosen of Bahamut. He is the eternal Alpha Lizard, as has been proclaimed to his species. And White Hawk Darion Cursebreaker, heir elect to the position of Hawk of Alamander. The Hawk of Alamander, there's gasps. There's kind of like discussion, this resurrecting the Hawk. That is a position of shame. Welcome to the court of Tithia. Her Majesty Queen Anais welcomes you. Please take your positions. And he kind of like points to a place toward the back. You will be called to speak at court 2 days hence, and then there will be a private audience with Her Majesty. A private audience? I've been waiting here for 3 months. I've not had a private audience. They are the champions of Chult. I don't give a fuck if they're the champions of Chult. What the hell's going on? They killed a fucking lich.
I don't care that they saved the world.
I don't care if they bedded a fucking lich. They got a private audience. What kind of bullshit is this? I'm gonna complain.
Stare daggers at the people.
Well, the last person that complained got the royal fucking chamber pot, so you gotta watch yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch that. You don't want that in your shitter, do you? In the middle of the night, you're pissing away. You gotta put it under your bed and your hands covered in piss. Anyway, why is everybody else looking at us? Why has the pianist stopped playing? And you kind of take your point, please. The rest of the court kind of goes in very much the same kind of like vein. You know, these are by and large trivial matters that seem to be kind of like raised to her, but they're taken very seriously, and the Queen is incredibly diligent in both honouring tradition, protecting her subjects against kind of like powerful magnates, and trying to do kind of like what is right within the context of, you know, what's brought through to her. Okay, and then kind of like court finishes, and the Queen kind of stands, and she kind of heads off to her private chambers for her evening, etc. And you guys are kind of shown through to a communal dining hall where there's kind of like food placed down and all that kind of stuff.
2 days. We have to wait 2 days.
2 days. Is there anything that you particularly want to do in those 2 days?
I need to find out more about this gasp at
What?
my title.
The shame of your title.
Oh, okay. So how are you going to do that?
Let's hit up the good old man first.
Oh, Chancellor Apraxin.
That's the one.
He's currently kind of like in the sauna.
He's currently what? Sorry, you cut out there.
In the sauna.
Darren, you get yourself to
Yeah.
situation.
Fabulous.
I thought this was a shitty castle. Why is there a sauna?
Every castle
That were
has
not
a
one
sauna.
expensive.
Every castle has a
man.
sauna.
I'll wait until he's robed and walking down some hallway. I'm sure I can get a lengthy conversation between his point A and point B, and don't make a sex joke to do with that.
I'm upset. Right here in my sex joke dictionary. Yeah, okay. He comes out from the masseur's table. I'm feeling a lot better about life. Oh, Darian, he says, Lord Whitehawk. He's like, That's him walking.
Chancellor, I wanted to have a chance to speak with you about something.
Well, I am in quite a hurry.
We can walk and talk.
Well, you are very capable.
While we were in the court previously, there was
I have to say,
some
my back
chatter.
is playing me up. I know the massage. It does help. It doesn't last that long. Sorry, what? Sorry?
I'm going to drop kick this man off the ramparts.
I think this man is wonderful.
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't actually mind him.
Are you furious?
You would do if there was a fire and you were trying to escape out the fire exit behind him.
Yeah, I just wanted to have a chance to chat to you about
I don't have much time
the
now.
ruckus that was caused by my
Busy
title
man.
being named in court.
Oh, the Hawk of Alamander. My goodness, I was surprised. I was surprised when the Queen decided that title. Well, this is interesting. Point of fact, to your knowledge, the title was proposed to the Queen rather than her deciding it. So you were told that that's what the Lords of the Lion / Order of Gauntlet asked for you.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So he says that, and the Queen decided it. Well, it's not been a current title for 130, 140 years, and the line of Alamander was not at the end. Well, the history does not speak kindly for them. They did not look after the people. Did not look after the. They ruled, desiring their own fame and glory rather than that of Tethia. And the hawk, being the personal, not servant, but representative of the monarch, was indicted in a number of massacres, really. So there's a lot of blood on that title's hands. That's why there was shock at court. The Queen thinks that you're the person to redeem that title, to cleanse it of its history, and to have it born anew. The advantage is that it carries a lot of weight through the legal traditions of Tethia.
Speaking on that note, is there legal obligations towards the Queen upon accepting this title?
Well, you become her servant, and therefore you're undyingly loyal to her. And by undyingly, I mean dying whenever the purpose is required in service of the crown. So frequently dyingly, not undyingly. Oft dyingly, one could say.
Right.
Martian Killian, who's behind you, leans in and says, "We'll stop you from dying, Sonny." Oh, and since you cured the curse, we'll just bring you back anyway, so what's not to like?
That is very interesting. Is there any other topics of note you can think that relate to this title?
The important thing about the Hawk of Alamander, whilst is mortal loyalty to Her Majesty, there's a stronger loyalty to the principles upon which the royal family was founded. The principles that Zaranda Star written down, laid at the start of her realm, at the start of her monarchy. The Hawk of Alamander is to keep the Queen on the straight and narrow so much as it is to protect and project the Queen's will throughout the kingdom.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chancellor. This conversation has been most insightful.
Yes, much more use than you were with my back, I'd note. And he gets out a piece of parchment and starts to note that very fact. Note to self. Darian owes me one. Dink. Now, if you don't mind,
I would actually say that's a square now.
No, it's definitely only got 3 sides. I must make haste.
Indeed, sir. I will leave you to your work. Awkwardly shuffle off myself slightly faster.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Anybody else? Anything that you want to explore or find out?
Are we near? How is the castle like adjoining a town or a city?
Oh, yeah, so the castle sits within Daramar. Daramar is the capital of Tethia, and it's about 30,000 heads in it. So it's not a large town by any measure. It's much, much smaller than Nyanza and much, much smaller. It's a tenth the size of Waterdeep.
And are we free to roam for the next 2 days? Are we in the castle still?
You're pretty much free to roam.
I'll just wander around trying to get a feel for the place, trying to find any rumours, possibly, of other Dragonborn or dragon hordes or actual dragons hidden somewhere in the realm.
Yep, okay.
And I just want to get a feeling of just how people react to seeing a Dragonborn or a group of Dragonborn
Horror.
walking through the streets. Horror.
Yep. People recoil. The more polite people kind of look at you with distaste. Kind of people that you would imagine would be honest, but kind of like of the manual classes, like don't hide their distaste. They recoil from you. You know, even kind of like people that you would think would be kind of like, you know, the downtrodden, etc., etc. They're kind of like, oh my goodness, what are these creatures of the night doing here?
A lot of you are chromatic, to be fair, in coloration.
Yeah, probably. Well, we're mostly black and green.
Yeah. And kind of like, word has got around who you are. You're the champions of Chult, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of fear fueled by awe, fueled by a lack of familiarity as much as anything else. So in terms of kind of like rumours, the dragon that is most often spoken about, and in fact there are 3 or 4 drinking establishments that bear her name, is Golanthka, the gold.
Okay. No, I already don't.
And there is also the red dragon, whose name I can't remember, who's spoken in fearful tones, who's rumoured to live off in the Umladrin Mountains, amongst other places. He's an ancient red, by all tales, massive gold hoard. You kind of hear all the bard's tales. You kind of talk about, as soon as you kind of hit a tavern, somebody walks with the jukebox and puts on like all the dragon songs. / the bard plays, and recounts all the tales and stuff. You hear some tales of the champions of Chult.
Hear what?
Some tales of the champions of Chult that some bards are trying out. Wildly inaccurate. You haven't got a Scooby-Doo. What? Clearly must have been the session.
I assume we just hear bards and all the tales about Zook being the hero, and this wildly exaggerated.
Everything about them is wildly exaggerated, and then there are different. There's some bawdy tales. There's some kind of like laments, stuff like that. There's the tale of how one lord went to the jungle and he came back with a big pussy.
I slew a dead god in like 2 strokes, didn't I?
That's one of the verses actually. And he slew the dead god in 2 strokes with the pussy. Is how it goes. And other than that, kind of like you get a feel that Daramar's not a particularly affluent place, or actually more precisely, there's a really sharp divide between those people with money and those people without money. 95+% of the people that have money, even trades that are normally burgeoning middle class or professions, or good trades to be in, silversmith, goldsmithing, stuff like that, they don't look like they're making a lot. But when the nobles go past, irrespective of the queen's desire to have a kind of like muted court, they are lavish. They are, it's chrome, it's bling, it's everything new money style.
So would this possibly be once Diego's set up and running, and once the Dragonborn need to trade? Possibly it isn't the greatest place to possibly be trading with at the moment because this lack of affluence, or is it that there is opportunity here, but it's for a very select few?
The impression you gain is that it's affluence for a very select few. And this is a general impression that you're kind of picking up, but if, in Waterdeep, for instance, those that are in Trades Ward, so the middle classes, they're all right.
Yeah.
They have food on the table. They have relatively current clothing. Nobody looks like they're particularly worried, especially about money, albeit they're not like the nobles. And in Waterdeep, the nobles are fabulously rich, but there's almost like a gradation. Whereas in Tethia, there's a really sharp kind of there's not very.
There's no real middle class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll go back to the castle after I've kind of scouted out a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Diego, what do you want to do to fill your 2 days?
I think Diego will be kind of forced to go through paperwork, some formal documents, and also pretty much going over CVs and bios of potential people basically due for is in a circle, is what you call them?
Privy Council.
Yeah.
Basically a council.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
for Circus Art. But in addition, maybe a conversation with Grack, because I'm not impressed with him at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that one of your first audiences is with Chancellor Praxin, who is in the frame to be your Chancellor in Circus R.
I'm happy with that.
Okay. So there's no necessarily need to kind of roleplay through that, given kind of like time, etc. But you get the impression that whilst he is a bit of a doddery old man, his mental faculties are really sharp. His ability to recall points of law is phenomenal, and he has a good sense of what's fair and what's right, although it's skewed by an almost Tetherian, picking up a classic Tetherian thing, which is pro-human and pro-nobility. You have much less rights within the kingdom if you are not human and if you are not noble. He has a desire to kind of like change that, but his pace would be glacial, you suspect. But his knowledge of minutiae, and you also kind of pick up that he's reasonably well respected around court.
But all in all, his thoughts on integration, he's not against it.
No, he's not against it. No. You get the impression that he by and large takes people at face as they are. He had no great kind of challenge with Ox or anything like that. But it's almost like an institutional view that whilst Ox is a good dragonborn, clearly a valuable kind of member of the society and so on and so forth, there's something inherently less valuable about dragonborn. It's not like he's giving masses of critical thought to it.
He's an old man racist kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I was trying to avoid
I can deal with that.
But basically, you can argue that whilst his viewpoints from a moral position are perhaps kind of wrong in some ways, they aren't driven from a point of malice. Does that make any better? I don't know, but
He uses awkward language like, "Oh, but he's one of the good ones."
Quite often he'll say, "Which one's Ox? I can't tell them apart. They all look the same to me."
Green, black, they all look the same to me.
Basically, don't they change colour in the morning or something? Like, don't they change colour if they heat up? Isn't that what happens?
It's colour change with their mood.
And beyond that, kind of so you interview some of the civil servants and such like around, and by and large they're pretty capable individuals. Everybody complains about how busy they are, how they don't have enough resources, how they're overworked, and so on and so forth, and that's the general trend of it.
Okay. Maybe look how I can improve his life.
How many? Not specifically, but like on the Privy Council. Am I on that? Is the Marshal part of that, or is that just separate?
Question for Diego.
Diego.
I definitely would have Ox there.
And Darian?
Yeah.
If you're able to make it.
But if you're too busy and we're talking about shady, yeah.
We're not going to reschedule a session for you. Okay. And beyond that, kind of, again, you get pretty much the similar impression from as Ox has. Human-centric, noble-centric. You're renowned as a rich noble, so you get kind of massive amount of precedence. Your servant is much more deferential now than he was at the start. And there's not much to learn there particularly, but he is in the pay of your uncle.
So if I was to ask him, who assigned you to me, Grak?
I was assigned by the seneschal of the castle,
Hmm.
who reports to the castellan, who reports to the Lady Linden, who is the Queen's prime minister.
Are you quite suspicious of this Greg, Diego?
I'm. It's not that I don't trust him. It's just that I want to know what. Well, now that he's here, or now that you're here, I'd be asking him, what is it that you want? In all honesty.
I don't understand the question, my lord. I want to serve you as best
What
I
do
can.
you want to get out of this job?
I want. He's genuinely confused by what you're asking him. I am a servant. I am yours to command, my lord. I pass information through to the Darkblade in return for some consideration every month. I don't. What is it that you're asking me, my lord?
His answer wasn't get money, but bitches. So I think he's a spy.
He doesn't have a family either, which is concerning.
So he's not a family man. He's instantly shady.
He's got no one that Darkblades can use as leverage.
You heard it here first.
I am
No
worried
fam.
about. Partly
rights.
I'm worried about him selling us out,
Make an insight check.
and okay.
So am I the least trustworthy person on screen then? Is that how this works?
That is was that insight? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not great. That's an 8.
He seems entirely genuine. I'd take a dagger for you, my lord. He didn't say that, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
He seems genuinely confused as to your line of questioning. He's admitted that he works for your uncle, that he gets paid for passing information to your uncle. I do apologise about the chamber pot. It is just it's a joke that we have amongst the servants. It keeps us kind of keeps the dull monotony of the day kind of going.
Well, I suggest you keep your jokes in check.
Oh, Jesus! Stone Cold Diego.
We will do.
I'm
my lord.
not a fool that perhaps my peers may have painted me out to be, Bragg. I'm an honourable man.
An
a kind man.
honourable.
Of course, my lord. Yes, my lord. No, my lord. 3 bags full, my lord.
3 bags full.
Oh, you're making an enemy here.
Would you like me to lay here and be your chamber pot for you, my lord?
No, I now want you to go and take the evening off and think about what you did.
Woohoo! Servant gets a night off. Yeah, exactly. I'll think about what I did. Yeah, I'll be talking about it down the pub when they're like, "Why isn't your night off?" No, I got a night off, of course. Yeah. Okay. Darian, is there anything you want to do? Given that Tom stinks. I don't know why. Nothing to do with me.
So the only other thing I think I'd be doing is Darren would be getting a bit bored, so he'd be wanting to spar, and he'd be healing people that needed healing, and curing the diseases along with Andro as well.
Yeah, okay. Word's got around that your healing is not that effective, though.
My healing's what, sorry?
Not that effective.
Well, then they can just not show up for it then.
All the people with lower back problems who were queued, you see them shuffling off, like really slowly.
Have you got like a stall set up and you're waiting? No one shows up.
No, well, I'll be sparring, and if people need healing...
Nobody.
You have like
Nobody.
absolutely no customers, and an Ox shows up. You go, "One customer," and Ox is like, "No, I just came for the free pen."
This is during the 2 days.
Ox,
Do
take
you
a,
have your spa with you?
Ox, take a free pen.
Add it to the inventory. You're going to become very important at some point.
It's got a little symbol of Tom on it.
Yeah, Tormish pen. Tormish slate and chalk. Yeah, okay. So, kind of, there's a feast in your honour. Kind of like, again, it's a cluster of maybe 40 or 50. Some of the kind of nobles of Daramar are kind of invited to court. The highest ranked individual is a sheriff, essentially. So there's no counts, there's no dukes there. You're the kind of like artifact on display. Everybody kind of wants to talk to you. The Queen is getting some reflected glory from this. You know that kind of couriers have been dispatched to the other cities of the realm to demonstrate that the champions of Chult have come to Daramar to pay their respects to the Queen of Tethia. So that's kind of like an important thing. You know how kind of like people will be like, oh, the first audience that the President of the United States gave was to this person, and it's like increases them in importance. It's kind of like that for the Queen, actually. So you're thinking the Queen's getting more benefit from this than you guys are, in terms of prestige that's been granted to her. And the meal passes kind of like quite pleasantly. Lots of people kind of come up and talk and so on and so forth. After the meal, you are kind of like shown through. The Queen kind of stands before the dessert course, kind of like, and everybody stands and kind of bows, and she bows, and kind of she goes off into her private chambers. And then after the feast, the Chancellor kind of like comes across to you and says, "The Queen will see you now." And that's done in a semi-public way, so it's not announced, but everybody in that room knows that you're taking private audience with Her Majesty. And you're shown through into some of the most austere chambers that you've kind of like ever been in. The kind of like the Atrapal had more comfy chairs and kind of like more pleasant an environment to fester in than the Queen of Tethia appears to have. So, kind of blank stone walls. It's cold, which makes it about 20 degrees, but yeah, kind of go there. And the candles kind of like are burning. There aren't very many of them, just enough that you could read by, but kind of nothing more than that. She sits in a chair, kind of again slightly raised dais, and she's changed out of her kind of gown that she had for the feast into this kind of like workman-like clothing, reasonably kind of good quality, but very, very functional. There are paintings all the way around the kind of room depicting kind of lineage of the Tetherian kind of kingdom, and you again feel the weight of the history of that kingdom kind of like down upon you. And over kind of in an almost like altar, there are 4 pictures of children of varying ages. One's a babe in arms all the way through to what you imagine as a young kind of like teenager, and candles kind of like burn below, and they're in the silver chalice, which is the symbol of Saimorth, a deity. Chancellor Praxin is there, and the blonde lady in the kind of like leathers is also there. Queen kind of like greets you. Lord Darkblade, Nyrixius, Whitehawk. Welcome to the kingdom of Tethia. I want to hear what your intentions are for Tethia, and what your intentions are for the county of Sirkazar. We do not welcome intrusions from foreign powers in our business, but I am given to understand that you are individuals of affinity to our own causes, and the cause has been that nobility is there to work for and on behalf of the common man to improve the world, rather than to line their own pockets. Your deeds against the Lich and the breaking of the curse, the death curse, are known throughout the realms. But even so, I have to decide for myself what is best for my kingdom. This is your opportunity to entreat me and to tell me what it is that you intend to do by bringing commercial power, military power, and religious power into a county that lies on the periphery of my kingdom, and that I rely upon to protect myself against the evils to the east and the evils to the south. Speak.
Darian will walk as far forward as is comfortable for everyone in the room, I guess. He'll untie his blade and scabbard and lay his sword and shield down on the ground, and
She stabs you in the eyes. She doesn't actually, no, because I haven't rolled initiative. Let's do that. No.
yeah, so Darian will take a lead, and he won't look directly up at her yet, and he'll say, Your Majesty, I was assigned to oh shit, I forgot the name of the castle.
Ilkzar.
Castle Ilkazar, yeah, there it is. I've got it written down. I was assigned to Castle Ilkazar from higher ups in the order to inspect the men there and pursue rumors of a certain member within the castle walls and see if these rumors are true and whether reforming is needed in the castle. While I'm there, I do intend to engage in the duties of the Order of the Gauntlet, of course, and help protect the land that is under our jurisdiction and the common folk there. And we wish to speak to you about another matter of importance after my companions have spoken. And then I look up at her.
So you are the man who would be my Hawk of Alamander.
Sorry, you cut out again.
You would be the man who would be my Hawk of Alamander.
Yes, indeed.
But you speak quite narrowly of what you would do in the county of Circazar and the lands of the castle of Ilkazar. What would you do to inspire justice throughout the kingdom in my name?
I do intend on making trips to other settlements personally and lend my aid and perform miracles of healing on the more downtrodden folk. And speaking of such people, I do not wish to speak for my companions, but we do have more in store for them. And I look back at Diego.
At that point, waiting for her to ask me to come forward. I say to her, Your Majesty, I first say I'm honoured that you will be in attendance at my wedding at Waterdeep, and also to thank you for giving myself and my companions the opportunity to prove ourselves to Thea and the county of Circazar. Given I count my anointment as count of the county and that of high mayor of the town, the capital city of Circazar, Saradouche, it is my hopes to bring more opportunities to the people of Tethir, but not only that, but to bring acceptance and integration amongst the people of So Reduction, in time, I pray, throughout the theory also. I intend to bring new job opportunities, improvements of agriculture, new homes for the poor, a bard college. The list could go on, but I would hate to bore you in this. But we do have more immediate matters at hand.
Park those immediate matters for the moment. I am happy to hear the full list that you are going to iterate. Tell me, how are you going to afford this?
Oh, you'll have your own income as count, and you've got potentially Dragonborn labor? I'm not sure.
So bear in mind that she has intimate knowledge of the accounts of Sarah Douche and Circazar because there's been no count there. So she kind of knows she's been running it, basically.
Okay. Given the accounts of Circazar, I am eager to plant the roots, using partly of my own funds to at first bring improvement to the agriculture and hopefully more farming lands within both the local people and also the Dragonborn Society. And we will work. New homes for the poor will then provide more jobs. And
Half-orcs?
As I said before, it is my overall hopes to bring integration within the county also. And through my companion Ox, I hope that we will, as a figurehead in that, we will be high on our way on making Circazara a better place for all of the goodly races.
A noble aim and one that I will support. But it must be a realistic aim. It must be considered and funded. I know that as a Darkblade you have access to some not immaterial amounts of influence. My concern, if I talk frankly to you, Lord Darkblade, is that you will draw upon the Lord's alliance and their funds, and that I will find myself unwittingly owing them favours for my kingdom. I will not allow any element of my kingdom to join the Lord's alliance. We will maintain our sovereignty. Thexit is what we would call it, but we're not actually in it yet, so we can't leave it. And you've spoken of Ox, your companion. How do I know that you aren't going to turn those Dragonborn mercenaries to fight me? Convince me of this. Convince me that this integration is the right path to take.
So I suppose Ox will now step forward. I'll walk forward, probably about equal to a Darren, maybe a step behind, and bow and kneel.
You smack Darren in the
face. My queen, I've been given a great duty by my lord Bahamut, and it is because of my great friendship with Diego here. He has offered me the chance to find a home for what many people will consider one of the lesser races, i.e. myself and my kin. But also, I'm hoping by creating this home, this settlement, we can improve trade, improve farming, create a thriving population that we can also include the local population, and some of the other lesser races, the half orcs, the gnomes, the elves, plenty of diversity throughout Circus Art. As Diego's already uh, mentioned, I understand your concern over the military aspect of my kin. It's what we're known for. It's not our only asset, I must say. We have plenty of workers who aren't military minded, who want to work for the betterment of society through agriculture, through schemes of integration, even just working in a local community should integration work to the point where that is possible. But we will have a military presence. Dragonborn always have done. We've roamed far and wide offering our services. Nobles for causes we necessarily always wouldn't have agreed with. That's to change. Bahamut has gifted me this chance. And so we will use this military might for the greater good. And this will mean working with you, working with Diego. There will be no threat to your lands, to us. You gifting Diego and Diego gifting us is a debt that we could never ever repay. So we will always be indebted.
If I may speak.
You may speak.
If I may speak, Your Majesty, I can't speak for the intimidation factor I would have against those encroaching on your borders, but a host of Dragonborn would surely be a strong deterrent.
The difficulty with mercenaries, White Hawk, is that whomever can pay them the most gains their loyalty. It is not unheard of for a battlefield to turn based upon promises of more. Let me consider this with my advisors. What say you, Lady Linden? She kind of steps forward and says, I vouch for the White Hawk. I think he would make a sound Hawk of Alamander. His deeds have proved that his heart is sound and that his intent is noble. And what say you, Chancellor Praxin? Oh, fucking hell, I gotta have some fucking aspirin for this bloody thing. Does anybody... Oh, sorry, were you talking to me? You managed to say, alright, sorry, I just got... No, anyway. Well, I had a chat with Lord Darkblade yesterday morning, and all the legal precedents are in place. We don't need to worry about any of that. And he's got a plan, Your Majesty, and his plan is sound, and I think that with the right guidance we can create a model, as we've spoken before, that could be perhaps played through the rest of Tethia. So I stand with him. And the Queen nods. Then it just stands for warranty to be placed for the Dragonborn. I have word from Gorlantha, in whom we place the utmost of our trust. She stands with you, Eurixius. She will place herself as warranty. So my councillors agreed. We will appoint you as Count. We will appoint you as the Hawk of Alamander, and we will allow the Dragonborn to settle within our county, within our lands. And you may take upon the title of Marshal within Circazar, and I will appoint you as a captain of my own guard.
Thank you, my queen.
We all owe fealty to a principle that is greater than I, the principle of power wielded for the betterment of society. I will embody that to you, so you owe fealty to me. But do not let yourselves be guided by what I decide is right. You must speak freely where you feel that is against the principles of betterment, the principles of integration that you have spoken of. That is a just society and one that we should all strive for. Now, Darian, Hawk of Alamander, you spoke of a matter that was of pressing need.
So Darian looks back at Diego and nods.
Orc steps backwards.
And before he pulls out the pearl, I just want to say, as comfortable as you can be, I would suggest you only keep your most trusted. Is it just the three of them in here actually, or is there more? Is there more like onlookers to this conversation?
Mosh and Killing's there.
Okay, so it's just the old Sky, the girl in leather armor, and the queen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
That you can see.
That I can see. Yeah. Okay. I'll just say before Diego reveals the subject, we have. I would suggest you only have those you trust the absolute most in your court. Witness what we're about to show.
She dismisses you three. But apart from us, get the people you trust, yeah? Yeah, in case she nods. Carry on.
Okay. Take the stage, Diego.
Theft.
Before we left Schultz, I was approached by a woman of scruples.
Good word.
She gave me an item of which I did not know at the time the nature of or the origin of. Having done some valiant research, it has come to our understanding that something had been taken from the Duke of Valan by this particular woman. Her reasons for giving this item to me is unknown to all of us. But we believed it right that it be returned to yourself without delay.
She looks confused. Says, "Oh, what is the item?"
I'm not going to say I take off my boots, because that would be weird.
But I take off my boots.
well, you could say during that conversation, did your boots, and that's when you like took it out. Can you do a sleight of hand to take it out of his boots, like just adjust yourself?
So you're going to adjust yourself, and take it out of your heel of your boot.
Yeah. Darian, is there anything you want to add to this?
I can vouch for my companion. As soon as we learned the origin of the pearl, and we learned, as soon as we learned the origin of the pearl, indeed.
Cut to the chase, Hawk. What is it that you possess? Bring it out if you possess it.
Diego?
I'll walk forward to one knee, and I'll present the pearl to her.
She looks down at it. Lady Lyndon, the blonde-haired lady, kind of walks off, takes it, looks at it, and passes it up. And this was given to you by a lady? How did that lady obtain this? One of the most precious items of Tetherian regalia that I'm due to be wearing.
We do not know for certain. We do not know for certain, Your Majesty.
Then what
but
do you know, or what do you suspect?
we have heard rumors that she has been influencing some male nobles, and
Duke of Velen,
that perhaps.
Speak directly.
That's not a route. She
Well,
has been.
She has been, but we can't say for sure that was the case with
The
the Duke. Yeah, that she has been influencing him and acquired the pearl some way during her visit with him. Did this occur to your knowledge? That she was taken in by the Duke at some point. Prior to our adventures in Chult, or during?
You speak in riddles. You say that
You've yet to mention her.
a lady charmed the Duke of Velen and took it from him whilst he was ensorcelled?
Allegedly, this is what we're led to believe. Although she
By
is
whom
a
was she to believe
well-known
this?
temptress called Lady De Winter.
There's no recognition.
A scoundrel and a scandal monger, My Majesty.
Be that as it may, a common scoundrel and a scandalmonger would not be able to obtain one of the crown jewels of Tethia. The Duke is the only individual, perhaps 2 or 3 others in his court, that can obtain these. And to give it away is an insult to me. It's an insult to Tethia, and it shows how little he cares about the integrity of the monarchy. You say he was
Exactly, but
charmed.
Has Ox shared his experience with us about the charming? Are you going to chime in about that, actually?
Well, she did try to charm me, and I did know. She failed, and I knew. But it's not.
You can say that she may possess some magical guile.
Yeah, she may possess magical techniques to influence people. She tried it on. We had a brief encounter recently, and witnessed firsthand these techniques. Failed upon ourselves, but concerning nonetheless.
Your Majesty, if I may be so bold, I could really do with some ointment, just there, just kind of like.
I'm gonna breathe acid on his spine and everything.
I love this guy. I don't know why you hate him so much.
Right, just
Don't acid him. He's on my
If you
council.
don't mind. That's a bit better. Oh, cheers, Your Majesty. Oh, I don't know. Well, could somebody repeat something? Because I was thinking about my back. I didn't really pay attention. If I may be so bold, Your Majesty, and I can see the anger that is running through you because of other occurrences of the Duke, but these are quite serious allegations, and as one of the most senior grandees of the realm, whatever the truth of this matter, we kind of need to tread carefully. Exile is the minimum that could be a result of any case. And exiling the Duke of Velen, it's quite a bold stroke. Not least of what it would create within the Nalantha Isles, and if we can do it to the Duke of Velen, we may be able to do it to all of the grandees, and I'm not sure that they would be so keen on this. Your counsel is appreciated, Chancellor, the Queen says. This is a difficult challenge that you bring before me. You can see her face kind of like calming. I need to prove the veracity of this. I need to prove that you speak as honestly as you are able in the good faith. On the morrow, I will bring the High Cleric, the Royal Cleric, and we will test your statements under a zone of truth. And then we will decide how to proceed from there. You will need to attend the hearing and be prepared to be naked. All items will be stripped from you, and we will purposefully dispel any magic that may be around you.
I accept these terms.
If the Duke
Before we go any further, and I will produce from that knapsack one of the masks the winter gave. And so this may be of interest. I don't know what it does. I acquired it from the woman in question.
I also wouldn't recommend using it.
I will hand this to the Vizier, and she hands it down to Lady Lyndon, who takes it.
And we're happy to speak to your high clerics and talk under a zone of truth. We have nothing to hide.
And then we'll decide how to proceed. I will be confirming you all in your positions. I will do so before the wedding. It makes sense that we move swiftly and that we make a statement quickly. Thank you. The audience is now over. I am done. And you can
Your Majesty.
Bow.
And you turn and head off. And on that note, I think I'll call the session there, actually, at 11:45. So you're all saved versus interview. And got the jobs. Congratulations. You're all saved versus interview.
Yeah, do you know what? Putting that little bit about actually might have saved the Duke as well if he didn't honestly give the pearl away deliberately.
And the magical in for him.
Yeah.
But whether he did or not, he's still going to get some sort of punishment, I think,
Yeah.
for even letting this woman into his house. You know what I mean?
It changes it from like maliciousness to negligence. Howsoever these things were taken, if it's proven and it's genuine and they're taken, blah blah blah, he'll allow that to
I'll be
happen.
back in a sec.
Okay, I think we just killed Diego.
Yeah, so it changed it from like ill will to like carelessness. Like,
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned those poison, those anti-poison potions. I think Diego needs one.
Forgot to take it.
Yep, cool. Okay.
Do you know, as far as roleplay goes, I don't think that could have gone much better, to be honest.
She might kill us, yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was going to say you could have killed him and taken the crown, but military coup. Oh, that's pretty good actually. Yeah. I think you hit the right notes. In truth, stressing the integration, stressing the investment, and such like. And the fact that that's actually your plans and have been your long-established plans, so you kind of talk with good faith. And then you've got people to vouch for you as well, which is important. Oh, yeah, okay, that's definitely Ben dead.
Is he alright?
If you just see him clawing himself back in.
Well, it looks... I don't know what's that on his wall, but it looks like he's been in the crystal maze.
Where's the crystal? Right, let me out, I'm abandoning, let me out.
Yeah.
It's either that or he's caught in some kind of like spider web. Some like futuristic spider web. It was in the Matrix or something like that.
It's in Menzo Baranzan.
Menzo Baranzan, yeah.
I thought it was like an attempt at a 3D see-through like D20.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It could be.
Sorry about that. I had a frog in my throat.
Oh, okay.
Frog.
Well, was it? What's that frog's name that Aaron has?
It was the grung.
No.
Grung in my throat.
The little crystalline figure that turns into someone's a frog from somewhere. Anyway, okay, cool. Yeah. So what I actually suggest is we could do some stuff on the forum, but I think the next live session should just be a straight continuation from there.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
that's okay with you guys.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
happy with that. Sounds really cool.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have a look at how this recording is. I think part of the problem is actually just bandwidth, but also it kind of maxes out the GPUs of the graphics devices it's doing it, and the fact that the computer is like 7 years old probably didn't help either.
Do you know what though? I think towards the end, your like starting got a bit better. So I was wondering if it was Netflix might have had something to do with it, or some such similar thing.
Yeah, it could just be placement of the microphone. Boom. To be perfectly honest. Yeah, because it only hits. I don't know. I'll have a look at the video anyway and see what it's like.
Oh, will the Zone of Truth be a forum thing, or are they only going to ask questions which we already answered?
I'll
Not going to be
I'll-
straight in the next session.
I think I'll do the Zone of Truth on the forum actually. We'll just do that. 'Cause there's a couple of weeks to work through the questions. Okay, cool. So that's.
Oh, actually, when is the next session? I'm on holiday at some point.
So it'll be 2 weeks today, which puts it onto the
31st.
Ooh, I might be.
I'll be in Greece then.
I will be. Actually, yeah, I'm away on holiday as well. So do we want to go with the 7th of September?
Yeah, that might be better because I may or may not have a meeting with my boss at that point, or my tutor, rather.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. 7th of September.
Cool.
Yeah? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So I need to do an
Nice,
outro
7th.
actually. Yeah. So I forgot about that because we did record. So if you made it here and it's 2.5 hours recorded time, maybe shorter if I've edited it. Thank you very much. I'm hoping the quality of the sound and the video and such like makes it okay, and you can follow that. That was a very typical Dungeons and Dragons. If this is the first Dungeons and Dragons stream you've kind of you've watched and you're thinking about the game, that's absolutely how every session plays. Incredibly typical of most campaigns. In fact, most campaigns have a little less action in them. There were half the die rolls is typical, and nobody ever rolls perception. And use it as a dump stat, basically. So anyway,
I did.
look where it got him. So thank you very much for going through that. If you've got any comments, leave them below. Like, subscribe, do other stuff. I think this is probably going to end up on YouTube. Or you could head over to mostly-offtopic.com, which is our website. And you can hit us up on Twitter at mostly-offtopic, and on Facebook, just search mostly-offtopic. Anything to say, Josh?
No, but thanks for joining us.
Ben?
Take care.
Martin?
I've been getting good comments from the lady, so I have no more comments about my hair anymore.
There's no comments about your hair.
There is, yeah, there is.
You used
Not
ladies
positive.
plural.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, just checking. So it might.
It's not my mum. Before you ask.
Was it my mum? So I'm going to leave you on this little thought then. If you took Martin's voice and Ben's head and joined them together, you'd have a dwarf.
Yeah, you'd have a dwarf.
Just putting it out there. Okay, cool. Cheers, guys.